Hello people, Nigel with you, Nigel's Modelling Bench. Welcome back to the channel. This is the latest set or box of bits from DeAgostini for the 1.6 scale Mustang. And in this box we have packs 29 through 33, so 5 in all. And it's quite an interesting little box, especially compared to the last one, if you remember, it was just bits and pieces of exhaust and stuff. But this one's quite interesting. So we'll have a look in here. I have looked in obviously to remove paperwork with my address and stuff. So we have, in no certain order, 32. Looks like it's the top of the rear axle. That looks, yeah, it's a plastic part. And then here we have, this is 31, and that's the bottom of the rear axle, which is metal, so it's nice and strong. And then we have this massive floor section. This is part 30. We've got lots of screws and bits and pieces in there. And then here we have 33, which is a leaf spring made of metal, and is it actually a casting or is it actually a spring? I think it is actually a spring. It is actually made of separate pieces of metal. Wow, that's impressive. And we've got screws and bits and pieces in there, pins and stuff. And then we've got pack 29, which is interesting. And then here we have our magazines. So without further ado, let me get myself organised and we'll have a look and see how much of this is pack 29. And this video may be 29, it may be 29 and 30. We shall see. You'll know by the title. I don't know yet, obviously, because I haven't done it yet. So, see you in a sec. Okay, so here we go, pack 29. Getting through this, aren't we? So, as usual, we'll look at the magazine first. See what we got in here. This is all your contacts and everything. I hear DeAgostini are pretty good with their aftermarket. Same as so were Hachette, apparently. So the Mustang convertible, I must be honest, I've never been a big fan, especially the newer Mustangs. I don't like them as convertibles. I'd much rather have them as fastbacks. But yeah, beautiful, beautiful nonetheless. But convertibles aren't really my thing, probably because I've got no hair. If I had hair, I'd have the wind blowing in it, wouldn't I? You can see here we've got some beautiful Mustangs, and then we've got a restored one here, convertible with the roof stowed away. Very nice. And then here we're looking at the actual build. We'll look at that in a minute. And then here we've got the Ford Focus WRC Mark II, a champion class. What a beautiful car. I've actually got a kit of this, very, very rare, by a company called Similar. And apparently it's not a very good kit, but it's the only one out there of the Mark II. And worth a lot of money these days, apparently. But yeah, there we go. You can see, lovely looking car, great colour schemes. When Ford were really good, I mean, Ford have gone downhill in my opinion so much over the years. It's yeah, very good. And then Mika Hirvonen, sorry, was the driver who drove the most rallies in the second generation Focus WRC. Twice world runner-up, he won 12 rallies at the wheel of the Focus. Sorry, I've got black paint on my fingers there, guys. I've been spraying. But there we go. So, let's have a look at what pack 29 is going to bring us. So it's an intermediate rear chassis. So it's a box. It's clearly metal, which is cool. So, open up this box. So we have a cardboard box there, which is... It seems very weird, guys. If you don't know already, I lost little Jess on the 28th of May. And she was always a nightmare with cardboard boxes, and I couldn't leave anything on the floor. I couldn't put anything on the floor. And I've just thrown that box on the floor down there, and it's fine, and she would have had that chewed up by now. So, yeah, sad. Very sad. I'm still upset. But to give you an idea, today is Friday the 21st of June. So it's nearly a month, isn't it? It's 3 weeks. Just over 3 weeks. So there we go. So we've got this metal section of the floor here. Weighs a ton. This car is going to be heavy. It's probably going to be as heavy as the real thing. So, and then we've got our DSO2 screws there. So D means die cast. If it was a PS, it would be plastic. So we can see here they're 2.3 by 4 millimeter, and they've got a 3.8 mil diameter head. So basically, what they're telling us here: retrieve the rear chassis assembly we worked on last week. On the last issue, should I say, has a number of holes in this assembly session. You work with the 4 holes at the forward ends of the rear of the chassis. These holes are shown by ringed by red dashes circled in the images. So here is said floor with the fuel tank and the exhaust system fitted. And you can see here we've got the holes. So they are the 4 holes we're using. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so those 4 there at the forward end. And then looking over the page here, position the parts as shown. 4 posts on the rear of the intermediate rear chassis fit into the 4 holes you identified in the forward ends of the rear of the chassis. So these 4 here are going to go into those holes there, like so. You can hear it's metal to metal. It doesn't quite want to go in. See what's going on here. Let's do some pulling about, I expect. Anyway, there we go. So that is that. Then insert the intermediate rear chassis into the holes in the rear of the chassis. I thought we really just did that. Press only ends indicated by red arrows. Sorry. Insert the intermediate rear chassis post into the holes in the rear of the chassis ends. Push the post into the hole so that both chassis pieces fit together with all 4 posts in all 4 holes. Press only on the ends indicated by red arrows in the image. Make sure the joint between the 2 pieces is correct, which is easy to check if you look from the sides. The joint will finish tightening when you tighten the fastening screw, so it's got to end up basically flush. And it's telling us to join the 2 parts starting with the 2 DS screws, 1 on each end of each side, so the outer 2 screw holes, but do not tighten. Okay, yeah, as with everything you do, don't ever tighten anything until you've got all the screws in. So what I'm going to do here, we are clearly putting the screws into there. So this has got to be tapped. So they're going to be M2.3. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to put the light on. So I'm going to get the magazine out of the way, and I'm going to tap these holes with a M2.3 tap. Let's get the light on. So we'll go in a turn back a half. Remember, I don't like just graunching screws in, I like to cut the threads. Okay, that's deep enough on that one. There you can see all the metal come out of the hole. That's the thread that we've just cut. So I'll get the other 3 done and then I'll come back. Alright, so I've tapped those holes, those 2 there, those 2 there. I've also looked forward at because I've got them here, I look forward at part 30, and we're going to be putting another panel in on top of this. So I've tapped all of these other holes as well, M2.3. If you don't know what tapping is, that's the thread cutting I use. This is called a tap, and it's an M2.3 tap. Okay, it's the coarse. Don't get a fine thread. All of these DeAgostini and other part works, they don't use fine threads as far as I know. So if it says 2.3, that's M2.3 standard thread. Just tap them. I've also tapped these holes here because I can see that in part 30 we're going to be putting screws in them. So it just saves me getting the tap wrench out again. Not the tap wrench, the tap. So I can put my pin vise away. I use a pin vise rather than a tap wrench. The other thing I do is grind the point off of the front of the tap, and that way if the metal's thin at the base of the hole, it won't make an indentation that will poke through on the other side. It's especially important when you're doing your doors and stuff. So we can put that away. Right, so now we've got our part all tapped. And I always cut the threads dry as well so we don't get oil in there, because oil can come out and sort of bleed and cause a stain, especially on matte painted parts. So all our threads are cut. So we've got to put this together as they say in the instructions. It's very complicated in the instructions when you read it, but it's actually extremely simple. You've got 4 holes and you've got 4 pegs. And those 4 pegs have got to go in those 4 holes. It's much easier to do it this way around, I think. There we go. There we are, so that's gone together like that. So we can take our DS2 screws, or DSO2 they call them. Right, and what they're telling us to do is just put the outer ones in first. So I'm just going to put them in a couple of turns. The whole thing's falling apart again. Got the shakes again. Seem to have the shakes all the time lately. There we go. And then we're going to put the inner two in. Notice I'm not tightening anything up. Don't ever tighten anything up until you've got all the screws in. Just a couple of turns. You can see how easy the screw go in when you've got the thread cut rather than trying to force them in. So we're going to hold this up like this because, as you can see, it's all flopping around and it's quite heavy. So I'm going to hold it all square. I'm just going to nip these up. Go from the outside in. I have got the shakes, haven't I? Terrible. That's partially why I'm not doing any scale model at the moment, guys, because, or sprue modelling should I say, because you can imagine me trying to put photo etch parts into a wheel bay or something with shakes like this. It'd be a nightmare. There we go. So that has gone together. We've tightened all the screws evenly, and we can look now and see that the floor is flush here. That's what we want it. We want it to be nice and flush. I'm just going to give those screws another quick tweak just to make sure. Yeah, that's the other beauty of cutting the threads, guys. Sometimes the screws can be extremely tight going in, and then you can't feel when they've bottomed. You end up stripping because it just feels the same all the way down. Whereas when you cut the threads, they spin in and then stop. Then you could just go like half a turn from there or whatever. So that is basically that. They've managed to make that into 3 pages. So you can see here they're showing us the finished article, which is what I've got here. You can now start to get an idea of how big this model is going to be. There's my hand. It's big. It's huge. That is like A4 size almost. So in fact this is A4 sized. There you go. You can see how big it is. And where the assembly is located on the model, and they're not showing us anything. It's just got a picture of the prototype. So there we go. So that's pack 29. So it's not been very long, I know, but I will see you back for pack 30. And I'm not going to do pack 30 in this video because it looks like there's quite a lot of work in it. So we'll probably do pack 30 on its own as well. So I'll see you for that one.